Why do you still do it? Why are you still out here?
Well, it goes back to the destiny thing. I made a bargain with it, a long time ago, and I'm holding up my hand
What was your bargain?
to get where I am now.
Should I ask who you made the bargain with?
with the chief commander.
On this earth?
And on this earth, and then in a world we can't see.
A music legend just admitted he gave up their soul to be who they are today. Bob Dylan did just that. He confessed to making a dark deal, and the more you hear, the more chilling it becomes. He didn't shy away, speaking openly of a mysterious chief commander he made this pact with. Was it all worth the fame, the legend, and the price? Tune in as we dive into the shadows of fame, exploring the unimaginable costs one man paid for greatness, and why we might never know the whole truth. Something so dark, it leaves you stunned. Do you believe in destiny? Bob Dylan says he does, and it's what keeps him on stage after all these years. It's the destiny thing, he says. He's holding up his end of a bargain he made to become the legend he is today. And he doesn't even try to hide it. It's right there, in his words, as if he's letting us in on some forbidden secret. But a secret this big, why share it now? What was your bargain, Bob? Who did you make it with? He's asked. And the answer, well, it sends chills down your spine. The chief commander, he says. On this earth and the world we can't see. It's the kind of answer that makes you shiver, that makes you wonder, is there something more going on behind the curtains of fame and fortune? Dylan's life has always been a bit of a mystery. He was known for his poetic lyrics, his soulful songs, but also for the whispers of his love life, his heartbreaks, and the women who loved him, inspired him, and lost him. Among all of them, one stood out as the love of his life. Who could that be? Who captured the heart of Bob Dylan in a way that no one else ever could? Suze Rotolo. She was just 17 when Dylan arrived in New York City, fresh-faced and full of dreams. They met backstage at a concert, and for Dylan, it was love at first sight. She became his muse, inspiring songs like Don't Think Twice, It's All Right, and Boots of Spanish Leather. They lived together, loved each other. But the fame, the pressure, it was all too much. The world wanted Dylan, and there was less and less left for Suze. By 1963, their love story was over. Did Bob regret it? Did he wonder what life would be like if he had chosen a simpler path? One without that mysterious bargain? After Suze came Joan Baez, a queen in her own right, a woman who shaped Dylan as much as he shaped her. Together, they were unstoppable, two voices that spoke for a generation. But love isn't always enough. Joan and Bob, they were both fiery, passionate, but they had different dreams. Dylan was ready to go electric, to challenge the boundaries of folk music. Joan, she felt left behind, betrayed. And one day, just like that, it was over. Dylan ended it, just as suddenly as he began it. Years later, he apologized. He admitted he was wrong, but by then, the damage was done. Joan had moved on, and so had Dylan. But in the quiet moments, did he ever wish he could go back? Would he still have chosen music, fame, over love? Then came Sarah. She wasn't a singer. She wasn't in the spotlight. She was different, a calm presence in the storm that was Bob Dylan's life. They met in 1964, and Dylan knew that she was the one who would stand by him when others couldn't. She became his wife, the mother of his children. He wrote songs about her, sang to her, and for a while, it seemed like Dylan had finally found peace. But peace is never that simple. Dylan was a restless soul. The fame, the fortune. it had its price. He started drinking, cheating, fighting. And one day, it was too much. Sarah left. Dylan tried to win her back. He even sang to her in a recording studio, a song called Sarah, declaring her as the love of his life. She listened, expressionless, and then she walked away. Did he ever think about the bargain he made? Was this the price he had to pay? "I sold my soul," Dylan said. But what does that mean? Was it just a metaphor, a way to describe what he gave up for his music? Or was it something darker, something real? Dylan's life is filled with hints, with glimpses of a truth that's just out of reach. In the late 1960s, Dylan had a motorcycle accident. He disappeared from the public eye for months. Some say it was to escape the madness. Others say it was something else. A reckoning, perhaps, for the bargain he made. When he returned, he was different. The fire in his eyes had dimmed a little. The music had changed. It was still Dylan, but there was something deeper, something darker behind those songs. Dylan's love life didn't end with Sarah. There were others, affairs, brief romances, women who came and went. There was Françoise Hardy, Edie Sedgwick, Sally Kirkland, Roni Blakely. Each one left a mark. Each one added to the mystery that was Bob Dylan. But none of them stayed. Why? Was it because of who Dylan was? Or was it something more? Something tied to that bargain? That mysterious deal he made all those years ago? And then there was Mavis Staples. Dylan even proposed to her, but she turned him down. Did she see something in him? Something that made her say no? Did she see the shadow that followed him? The price he had paid for his fame? "The chief commander," Dylan said, "on this earth and in the world we can't see." What did he mean by that? Was it just a figure of speech? Or did Dylan truly believe he had made a deal with something, someone, beyond our understanding? There are those who say that all great artists have to make sacrifices, that to create something truly remarkable, you have to give up a part of yourself. For Dylan, maybe it was his soul. Maybe it was love. Maybe it was the chance at a normal life. He chose the music, the fame, the legacy, and in doing so, he gave up everything else. Today, Bob Dylan is a legend. He's won awards. He's changed the world of music. He's inspired generations. But at what cost? Does he ever think about the life he could have had? The love he could have held on to if he hadn't made that deal? Does he regret it? Or does he accept it as the price he had to pay for greatness? In 2016, Dylan was awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature. It was the highest honor, a recognition of his genius. But as he stood there, accepting the award, was he thinking of the songs he wrote, or was he thinking of the bargain he made? The deal that made it all possible. They say that those who make deals with the devil always end up paying the price. For Bob Dylan, that price seems to be love, happiness, peace. He's still out there singing those songs, fulfilling his destiny. But behind the music, behind the fame, there's a shadow that reminds us that everything comes at a cost. Would you make the same deal? Would you give up your soul for greatness, for immortality? Bob Dylan did. And he's still holding up his end of the bargain, still paying the price. It's a story as old as time, a story of dreams, of love, of deals made in the dark. Bob Dylan's story is one of mystery, of love and loss, of fame and fortune. It's a story of a man who made a deal and who's still living with the consequences. And maybe, just maybe, it's a story that makes us look at our own lives, our own choices, and wonder, what would we give up for our dreams? Bob Dylan's journey has not been easy. Behind the music, behind the awards and recognition, lies a man who has faced the shadows of his own choices. his path was never straight, and perhaps it was never meant to be. He walked a road that demanded sacrifices, a road that led him to places most of us would fear to tread. He spoke of destiny, of a path laid out for him, and a price to pay for following it. Those words echo in our minds. Did Dylan have a choice, or was this the only way? Did he see his future and accept it? Or did he fight against the inevitable until he had no choice left but to surrender? The bargain Dylan made did not just affect him. It shaped his music, his relationships, and ultimately the world around him. His songs spoke of love and despair, of hope and darkness, of the price of ambition. They resonated with millions, each note and lyric carrying the weight of his choices, each song a glimpse into the cost of greatness. When we listen to Dylan's music, we hear more than just words and melodies. We hear the echoes of his soul, the whispers of a deal made in the shadows. We hear the longing, the regrets, the moments of fleeting happiness that always seem to slip through his fingers. It's this raw, unfiltered honesty that made Dylan a legend. And it's also what makes us question, how much of himself did he have to lose to give us his music? Throughout Dylan's life, there were women who stood by him, who loved him despite the shadows that followed him. Suze Rotolo, Joan Baez, Sarah. Each one played a part in his story. Each one witnessed the struggle, the sacrifices, the moments of brilliance, and the moments of despair. Suze was there when Dylan was just beginning, when his dreams were fresh and his ambition was boundless. She saw the man before the fame, before the legend, before the deal that would change everything. She loved him for who he was, not for who he would become. But as the fame grew, so did the distance between them. The world demanded more of Dylan, and there was less left for Suze. Joan Baez, the queen of folk, saw the fire in Dylan, the passion that drove him to challenge the boundaries of music. Together, they were a force to be reckoned with. But even Joan, with her strength and determination, could not keep up with the changes Dylan was going through. His decision to go electric, to push the limits of what folk music could be, left her feeling betrayed, abandoned. And then there was Sarah, the woman who became his wife, who gave him a family, who offered him a sense of stability in a world that was anything but stable. But even with Sarah, the shadows lingered. Dylan's restless spirit, his need to keep moving, to keep creating, eventually drove them apart. The fame, the fortune, the deal he made, it all came at a cost, and that cost was his family. What was it that drove Dylan to make the choices he did? Was it purely ambition, the desire to be remembered, to be a legend? Or was there something more, something unseen that pulled him along this path? The way he spoke of the chief commander suggests a belief in forces beyond our understanding, forces that may have played a role in his rise to fame. Dylan's reference to the world we can't see adds another layer to the mystery. Was he speaking of destiny, of fate, or was he hinting at something darker, something that influenced his choices, his music, his life? It's a question that may never be answered, but it's one that lingers in the minds of those who hear his story. Dylan's music is more than just songs. It's a reflection of his journey, of the choices he made, of the bargain he struck. His lyrics speak of longing, of loss, of a search for something that always seems just out of reach. They speak of love, found and lost, of dreams pursued at great cost, of the shadows that follow even the brightest lights. When we listen to songs like All Along the Watchtower, Knockin' on Heaven's Door, and Like a Rolling Stone, we hear the echoes of Dylan's soul. We hear the struggle, the pain, the moments of triumph, and the moments of despair. Each song is a piece of the puzzle, a glimpse into the mind of a man who gave everything for his music. What would you give to be a legend? Would you trade your soul to the devil himself? Bob Dylan's success is beyond comprehension. His words, his melodies, they seem almost otherworldly. And maybe they are. In a rare 2004 interview, Dylan hinted at a bargain. He said he made a deal to get where he is, calling it a pact with the chief commander of both this world and the unseen one. What did he mean by that? Was he being literal, or was it just a figure of speech? Did Dylan, like the bluesmen of old, truly sell his soul at the crossroads? He leaves us wondering, always keeping that curtain half closed, giving just enough of a glimpse to fuel our imaginations. And why wouldn't he? The greatest mysteries are the ones we can never solve. In 1966, Dylan vanished from the public eye. The reason, he said, was a motorcycle accident. A bad one. He needed time to recover. But here's the twist. No one saw it happen. There were no hospital records, no official accounts, not a single witness to back up the claim. For a man as famous as Dylan, shouldn't there have been more noise about such an event? What if the accident was a cover story? What if Dylan needed an escape, a way out from the spotlight that burned too bright? Some say he just needed time to reflect, to hide from the weight of fame. Others think he was meeting someone or something that needed him out of sight. The question remains, what really happened in Woodstock that summer? You've heard of the Paul is dead conspiracy, the idea that Paul McCartney died in 1966 and was replaced by a look-alike. But what if Bob Dylan knew about it? Some of Dylan's lyrics seem strangely fitting. In Stuck Inside of Mobile with the Memphis Blues again, Dylan sings, "I saw a man who was wounded in the war." Was he talking about McCartney's supposed death? Was Dylan hiding a secret, one too dangerous to reveal outright? Theories like these are whispered in fan circles, analyzed by those looking for a deeper meaning in every line. Was it all just a poetic metaphor, or was Dylan giving us a clue, hinting at secrets hidden beneath the shiny surface of rock and roll? Picture this. It's 1966, and two of the biggest musical icons, Bob Dylan and John Lennon, are in the back of a taxi, driving through London. The footage exists, though it's never been released in full. What we do have shows Dylan, clearly out of sorts, and Lennon, nervous and uneasy. The scene is tense. Were they high, as many believe? Or was there something else between them? Some unspoken tension, some knowledge they both carried but couldn't share. What were they talking about? And why did the air between them seem so heavy? To this day, no one knows for sure. That lost footage could hold the key, but perhaps it's hidden for a reason. During the height of the counterculture movement, Dylan was under FBI surveillance. That much is fact. But was it more than that? Did the FBI try to manipulate him, to silence him, or even to control him? Some say they spread false stories about him, hoping to discredit his voice, to make his messages less powerful. Dylan had an influence that scared the establishment. He could move people, change minds, ignite rebellion. Was the FBI merely watching? Or were they pulling the strings, turning his life into a game of chess that only they knew how to play? Fast forward to 2020. Dylan releases Murder Most Foul, a haunting 17-minute song about the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. The song paints a picture of the 1960s, the shock, the pain, the loss of innocence. But was it more than that? Some say Dylan knew something, a detail, a truth, a piece of the puzzle that has never been revealed to the public. His lyrics are cryptic, filled with references and hints. Was Dylan trying to tell us something about that dark day in Dallas? Was he pointing toward a truth hidden by history, daring us to look closer? In the 1970s, A.J. Weberman took obsession to a whole new level. He called himself a Dylanologist, and he sifted through Dylan's garbage, looking for clues about the man behind the music. Weberman believed that the trash held secrets, clues about Dylan's real thoughts, his hidden messages. It led to confrontations, even a physical altercation, as Dylan grew fed up with the invasion. Why did Weberman believe Dylan had secrets worth digging through garbage to uncover? Was he simply a crazed fan? Or was he onto something deeper? Something that Dylan wanted to keep hidden at all costs?